While this powder room wasn't bad, it definitely wasn't finished. So I gave myself one weekend, a tight budget, and a goal to prove that small spaces can make a big impact. In today's video, I'm sharing how I transformed this powder room with a few intentional updates, including one marketplace find that completely changed the direction of the design. And I'll also be sharing some preliminary updates that I'm doing in the guest bedroom as well. Let's get into it. Thanks for stopping by Lifestyle with Melanie Graves, where I share stylish and creative ideas to help you do what makes you happy in your home. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Melanie. I'm an interior stylist and content creator here in beautiful Tampa Bay. I love to share things that will inspire you to get creative inside of your own homes. And today I am doing some guest area updates. I definitely have a lot of updating to do in our home this year, and I do plan to bring you along. These updates, though, are going to be some of the major ones. We just recently celebrated our 10-year anniversary in this house, which is so hard to believe. We've never been in a home for 10 years, so now it's really time to start doing some of those major updates. My kitchen needs some updating. I'd like to update the fireplace back there in the family room. I've got some big projects planned out for this year. But to get things started, I'm updating some guest spaces. Behind me is our powder room. I've never really paid any attention to that room. It's just kind of been there. And I decided to experiment with a little color this year. And then I'm going to be doing some updates in the guest room as well, starting with the most important thing, which is a comfortable bed. Today's video is brought to you by BedStory, and I'll show you what they sent to me to share with you later in the video. So let's get started. All right, here is a before look of our powder room. There's really not much to see here. It's a functional space. That aviary birdcage on the wall, I really want to repurpose that, so I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm gonna paint it and put it in our water closet in the primary bathroom. But the pedestal sink just doesn't offer any storage, and that was my main goal. And the other challenge was to really just try to do this in a weekend on a decent budget. It ended up taking me 3 days from start to finish, only because I hit a couple of snags. Here is my mood board. Now, on the left, you'll see the wallpaper that I selected. This wasn't an original part of the mood board. The original part was the vanity. I love that navy blue vanity. And then those antique brass and gold finishes. Those were really my inspiration. But I decided to go look at some wallpaper, and as I was walking through this store, I stumbled upon this just stunning colored wallpaper. It just stood out to me more than anything. I also loved that it has a lot of texture because my walls are textured with the orange peel finish. And you've got to be really careful when you're dealing with wallpaper with a finish like that. So once I picked out the wallpaper, I wanted to find a really gorgeous accent paint color. These are all Benjamin Moore samples. I really liked that one in the middle. I'll have everything, all my colors and selections listed for you in the description box. But once I got all of that kind of picked out, it was time to start clearing out the space and prepping the walls. And I will say, once you have your plan in place, that first step, that prep step, is a super important one because wallpaper will only look as good as the surface underneath it. So taking the time to properly prep the walls makes a huge difference, especially in a small space like a powder room where every seam shows. So my prep steps included primer that went on first before the wall glue, which really was going to help everything adhere a little better. The other thing that I made sure that I did, especially with the textured wall, was to pick a wallpaper that also had some texture and heaviness to it, because that is the easiest way to conceal anything underneath the paper that's not smooth and seamless. So the first thing you're seeing me do now that the ceiling is done and dry is I'm doing a layer of the primer, as I mentioned earlier. This is going to really just help everything adhere a lot better. And I got all of my supplies from Home Depot. This is a Roman Pro, I want to say $9.99, but I will have it linked in the description box. So once I prime the walls, you've got to give the primer time to dry, and then you can go in with your glue and installation. Now, when you're getting ready to install, the really main, most important step is to get that first line as straight as possible. And there's really no such thing as straight walls and ceilings. So I used a level and I went down and I scored that entire first panel to get that lined up straight. Once that's lined up, the rest is relatively easy unless you've got a lot of cuts to make, like I did on the back side of this wall by the door here that you can't really see. But super important to make sure you take your time and get this step right. And once you finish that part, you can kind of see this is how my first panel is looking. The second really, I think, most valuable tip I can give you with your wallpaper strategy is that when you're working with wallpaper, let the paper be the star. When your walls have as much texture as this type of paper and depth, you can keep everything else really simple and still get a high-end look. So next up, I was ready to install my light fixture. The original mood board did call for brass and gold finishes. And I found like I said, keeping this part simple, I found something simple at Lowe's. Now, this was the game changer. I found this vanity online on Facebook Marketplace, obviously new out of the box. It was only $150. And most of the vanities this size that I was sourcing online were averaging between $400 and $600. Well, my entire budget for this project was a max of $600, and my wallpaper really skewed everything. But finding this gem on Facebook Marketplace brought everything back into perspective for me. It was $150. And this is just a lesson to not sleep on sources like Facebook Marketplace and really just do your due diligence and shopping, because you can find some great finds. So I'm going to finish unpacking this. We're going to take a break from the bathroom, go check out what I am doing in the guest room, and then we will come back and finish up this space. All right, so next I'm going to share, I'm getting started in the guest room. This room is long overdue for a nice freshen up. You can see I have an accent wall back there. Those aren't really a thing anymore. I need some new lighting in here. It's just time to really give this room a little overhaul. But I'm starting with the most important thing for the guest room, which is a comfortable mattress. And I've partnered with BedStory to do just that. This next portion of the video is brought to you by BedStory. I partnered with them to start the transition of my guest room. Whenever I'm updating spaces in my home, I try to think beyond how they look and really focus on how they also feel. And that's especially true when it comes to guest spaces. As I mentioned earlier, this guest room is actually due for a full makeover, which is coming later this year, but I wanted to start with the most important element in the room, which is a comfortable sleeping space. BedStory sent me their SpineAlign mattress, and what really stood out to me is how much emphasis they put on proper support and spine alignment, which is really important for me in this space, especially since my in-laws use it more really than any of the other guests. And with them getting a little older, it's really important to me that they have a very comfortable and supportive sleep experience. Now, the SpineAlign mattress is a part of BedStory's premium lineup. It's designed to go beyond basic comfort and actually support your body in a thoughtful way. This model is designed to keep your spine in a neutral position all night, which means support where you need it most, your shoulders, your hips, and your lower back. And after doing a couple of sleep tests, I can say that this mattress feels solid in the best way. It's not too soft, not too sink in, just really supportive. You can actually feel how it supports your full body and keeps your spine in a more natural position. And I do realize that a mattress is a very personalized experience. Everyone needs something a little different. But I also know that waking up stiff or sore can have everything to do simply with what you're sleeping on. And a mattress shouldn't sag or fight your body, it should work with it. And that's what this mattress does. When your body is properly supported at night, mornings just feel easier, and that's exactly the kind of experience I want guests to have when they stay in our home. With the BedStory SpineAlign Mattress, everybody sleeps better. Check out the link in the description box for more information on how you can have your own BedStory mattress. All right, let's finish up this weekend project. Next, it was time to install this vanity. I will say that this part was the easy part. One of the things that slowed up my project was the fact that I had to have some plumbing updated. And that wasn't the fault of the hardware. The hardware was super easy to install. It was just that our plumbing lines were just really dated. The original builder didn't put the correct plumbing lines in. So that did take some extra time I wasn't expecting. So once I got that all sorted out, everything ran a lot more smoothly. One other thing I wanted to mention is a small update that makes a bigger difference than people realize is swapping out your switch plates and outlets. These decorator style switches instantly make the space feel more finished and intentional, and it's one of the easiest and most affordable upgrades you can do. It's a small detail, but it really elevates the whole room. Slowly but surely throughout the year, I will be switching these out in our entire home. And you can see here the difference between this wall and the electrical outlet, which is on back order. So that's the only reason that one's still white. But simple change, big impact. And now you can see here some of the final details and styling choices that pull the whole space together. The lighting was another intentional choice. The clear glass keeps things light and airy, especially when you're working with darker finishes like the vanity below. And in a powder room, scale definitely matters, so I went with a mirror that was slightly wider than the vanity, which helped to visually balance the space and make the room feel a little bit larger than it actually is. And then you can see I switched out the hardware. It originally came with silver, but it also had the brass finish option, and now I have storage for all of my powder room supplies underneath. I also switched out the toilet bowl flusher to one with a gold handle. I found this gorgeous wall art at Home Goods. I thought that was a perfect fit. And then the toilet paper holder, also found at Home Goods. The final touch that I have to make in this space is actually adding in the towel ring, which will go over here, but I'm waiting for my decorator outlet to arrive and I can just knock it all out together. So here is another quick look at the before of this weekend update. And this is the finished product. I love how the space came together. It's proof that a few intentional updates can completely change the feel of a room. So if you're thinking about refreshing a small space in your home, I hope this inspires you to start. That's it for today. I hope you were inspired in some way to be creative in your own homes. If you walked away with at least one new idea, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Upcoming videos, I'm going to be freshening up the family room area, kind of de-winterizing things and getting ready to move towards the spring season. So I hope to see you back then. And until next time, wishing you much love and peace.